Weak people talk. Strong people watch. If you're explaining yourself, justifying your actions, begging someone to understand your side of the story, you've already lost. Because in the world of power, the one who speaks less controls more. The psychological warfare begins. Power is a game of perception, not logic, not truth, perception. And in that game, clarity is not your weapon. Mystery is. When you explain yourself, you kill mystery. You remove the doubt. You become obvious, predictable, safe. And in this world, safety is weakness. People are wired to dominate what they understand and fear what they don't. The moment you try to make someone understand you, you give them a map to control you. Why defending yourself is a trap. Here's what defending yourself really communicates. I care what you think. I feel threatened by your judgment. You have the power to define me. Every explanation you give is a silent confession of weakness. The truth? People don't want your truth. They want your submission. And every time you try to explain, you're handing it over to them, gift-wrapped. Cold truth. Silence is power. There's nothing more intimidating than a man who says nothing. Say nothing when they provoke you. Say nothing when they gossip about you. Say nothing when they try to ruin your image. Why? Because power doesn't defend itself. Power lets people wonder. Example, the man who stared through the fire. Imagine a room full of executives arguing. One man sits at the end of the table, silent, calm, watching. The louder everyone else becomes, the quieter he gets. They demand he speak. He doesn't. He simply stands up, straightens his suit, and walks out without a word. That man wins. He didn't explain. He didn't react. He didn't need to. He knew one thing. You don't win arguments. You win by refusing to play. The strategy of psychological detachment. If you want to win, stop giving people access to your emotions. Don't give them your reactions. Don't give them your frustration. Don't give them your explanations. Make them uncomfortable with your silence. Make them obsess over your coldness. Make them guess what you're thinking. And when they guess wrong, don't correct them. Let them sit in their confusion. Confusion creates power. Explanation destroys it. When they attack you, do nothing. When someone talks behind your back, say nothing. When they twist your words, say nothing. When they try to embarrass you publicly, say nothing. You don't fight battles on their terms. You redefine the war. And the real war? It's internal. It's emotional discipline. Every time you resist the urge to defend yourself, you level up. They want you emotional. Stay empty. Understand this. Weak people feed off your emotions. They want you angry, defensive, desperate to be understood. So what do? You remove your emotions. You speak less. You stare longer. You walk away colder. The less they feel from you, the more power you gain over them, because they can't manipulate what they can't move. Summary of Part 1. Explaining equals losing. Clarity equals vulnerability. Silence equals intimidation. Emotion equals weakness. Detachment equals dominance. Never let them predict you. Predictability is control. If they can predict you, they own you. Predictability is a death sentence in power. In the game of power, once people can read you, they stop fearing you. They know when you'll react. They know what you'll say. They know what you want. And the moment they know what you want, they can control you. That's why the most dangerous man in any room is not the loudest. It's the one whose next move no one can guess. The art of strategic unpredictability. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince must learn how not to be good," but he also implied he must learn how to be anything he needs to be whenever it benefits him. That's your strategy. To win, you must become fluid, unreadable. You must break the pattern people are trying to box you into, because once they predict your behavior, they trap you inside it. Example: the dangerous power of inconsistency. Imagine this. A man texts a woman every morning without fail. Every day at 8 a.m. Good morning. For a week, she's flattered. The second week, she gets bored. The third week, she starts to expect it, and then ignore it. But now imagine this instead. One morning he texts, "Good morning." Then nothing for 3 days. Then a short message at 11 p.m. "You'd love this song I just heard." Then silence again. Now she's unsure. Now he's in her head. Now he controls the narrative. Unpredictability breeds obsession. Predictability breeds indifference. How predictability kills respect. When people know you'll always show up, forgive, explain, agree, or react, they lose respect for you. But when you become the type who may or may not show up, who may go silent, who vanishes without explanation, suddenly they're paying attention. Suddenly they start chasing your energy, not the other way around. Never show the same face. Twice power requires multiplicity. Sometimes you're warm, sometimes you're cold. Sometimes you respond instantly. Sometimes you ghost for days. Sometimes you're kind. Sometimes you're sharp as glass. This keeps people off balance. And when they're off balance, they're weak, they're disarmed, they're yours to control. The human brain hates gaps. When you act unpredictably, people try to fill in the gaps. Why didn't he respond? Did I do something wrong? Is he angry? Is he testing me? Here's the secret. The more they have to guess, the more they fear being wrong, the more control you have. Because the unknown is terrifying. And when you become the unknown, you become terrifying. The goal: become emotionally ambiguous. You want people to ask, is he offended? Does he care? Is he interested? Is he going to leave? You want your energy to feel like a shifting fog, just out of reach, always moving. Not because you're unstable, but because you are untouchable. A man who cannot be predicted cannot be caged. Example: the man in the gray suit. There was once a negotiator known only as the man in the gray suit. He never smiled, never frowned, never raised his voice. You never knew what he was thinking. He'd stare at you with dead eyes, then say, "I'm not interested in the deal anymore." Then he'd stand up, walk away, leave millions on the table. Not because he didn't want the deal, but because he wanted control more. Every time they called him back, every time they gave him what he wanted, he never made a scene. He just refused to be predictable. How to become unpredictable in daily life. 1. Don't always respond the same way. Don't always smile. Don't always answer questions. Don't always explain. 2. Don't always be available. Sometimes disappear. Let your absence increase your value. 3. Break your patterns, change your routines, change your tone, change your rhythm. 4. Surprise with silence. Especially when they expect you to explode, say nothing. 5. Never let emotions leak. The less they see, the more they imagine. And they'll always imagine worse than the truth. Never be their safe zone. If people always know where they stand with you, if they always feel comfortable, you are not a threat. You are a comfort. And comfort doesn't rule. Comfort gets used, gets discarded, gets ignored. But tension, mystery, doubt, that gets respected. That gets feared. Be the storm they sense, not the forecast they can read. Summary of Part 2. Predictability equals vulnerability. Inconsistency equals tension. Silence equals dominance. Mystery equals control. Emotional ambiguity equals obsession. Silence, your most powerful weapon. The louder the world gets, the more powerful the silent man becomes. Noise is weakness. Look around. Everyone's talking, defending, explaining, arguing. trying to prove they're right, trying to be seen. It's all noise, and noise is weakness. The powerful man is quiet, not because he has nothing to say, but because he doesn't need to say it. He lets others exhaust themselves in noise. He listens, he observes, and when he speaks, it cuts like a blade. Why silence dominates. Silence makes people uncomfortable. That's why most can't tolerate it. They fill every second with words, nervous, insecure words. But when you remain silent, they start to wonder, what is he thinking? Is he angry? Does he know something I don't? You don't even have to say a word. You've already controlled the room. Snake power is in what you withhold. The weak man shows all his cards. He tells his plans. He tells his emotions. He tells his thoughts. You withhold. You don't reveal. You imply. You let others guess your intentions. You let them assume, and they usually assume wrong. And every wrong assumption is a step deeper into your trap. Power comes from what they don't know. The silent punishment. Sometimes silence is the most brutal form of punishment. When they expect rage, you go silent. When they want a reaction, you give them nothing. When they scream, you walk away. That silence eats them alive. It forces them to confront themselves, and it leaves them powerless, because there's nothing to fight except their own guilt, regret, or fear. Alpha silence. The alpha doesn't bark, he watches. The pack looks to him not because he's loud, but because he's composed, still, sharp, intense. He speaks last, he speaks less, and when he does speak, people lean in. That's how you lead. That's how you control attention. That's how you dominate silently. Let others talk themselves into weakness. Give people space. They will reveal everything. Their plans, their fears, their mistakes, their true nature. Silence is not passive. It's active observation. While they talk, you gather power. While they confess, you calculate. This is the art of silent intelligence. Never explain. Never explain yourself. Never justify. Never defend your decisions. The moment you start explaining, you admit weakness. The powerful man moves in silence, acts without explanation, and leaves others to interpret his reasons. And guess what? Most people fear what they can't understand. Silence is a trap. Imagine this. You say something. They stay silent. You try again. Still no response. Now you're uncertain, anxious, maybe even angry. That's the trap of silence. You thought you were in control until their silence made you start doubting everything. Use that. Strategic use of words. Words are bullets. Don't waste them. Every time you speak, it should serve a purpose: to direct, to disrupt, to dominate, or to disappear. Silence is your default. Speech is your weapon. When you master that balance, people hang on to your every word because they're rare, sharp, and unpredictable. Silence protects your mind. When you're silent, they don't know what you care about, what gets under your skin, what motivates or destroys you. And if they don't know that, they can't manipulate you. You've become unreadable. That is real freedom. That is real power. Summary of Part 3. Speak less. Control more. Never explain. Let them wonder. Use silence as punishment. Let others reveal themselves through noise. Keep your power by keeping your mouth shut. Use emotion, but never feel it. Emotions are a tool, not a truth. The world tells you, be authentic, be vulnerable, be emotional. That's what they say to weaken you. In truth, the most powerful men in history used emotion, but never felt it. They smiled when they were furious. They cried when they needed sympathy. They raised their voice when they wanted control. Emotion wasn't their compass. It was their weapon. The manipulator understands. People obey emotion. Most people don't respond to logic. They respond to how something makes them feel. They follow confidence. They trust tears. They believe fear. Use this. If you need someone to believe you, don't argue. Just lower your voice, slow your speech, and add silence between words. Watch them lean in. If you need someone to back down, don't fight. Just go silent. Make eye contact. Let the tension choke the room. Emotions are the strings. You are the puppeteer. But you must stay cold inside. The moment you start feeling your own performance, you lose control. If they make you angry, they control you. If they make you jealous, they own you. If they make you desperate, they've already won. You can express emotion, but never let it become you. Control the scene. Like an actor, not a victim. An actor steps onto the stage, wears the mask, delivers the emotion, and walks off untouched. A victim believes the mask is real. You are the actor. You don't say what you feel. You say what creates the desired effect. You don't react based on emotion. You respond to control the outcome. They scream? You whisper. They threaten? You smirk. They beg? You blink and stay still. Control is the absence of emotional reaction. Emotional detachment is power. Imagine a king about to execute a traitor. The traitor begs for mercy, cries, falls to his knees, speaks of children, of redemption, of pain. The king's power is not in his sword. It is in his still face, his eyes that do not blink, his voice that does not tremble. That silence is the cold fire of power. If you ever want to lead, you must become emotionally detached from results, but in control of tone. Never fall in love with the outcome. Emotion makes you obsess over the result. Will they like me? Will they stay? Will I succeed? That's weakness, because emotion makes you dependent, and dependence is death. The powerful man plays the game, but never clings to the reward. He fights the war, but is already prepared for loss. He loves, but never begs. He wants, but never needs. That emotional distance, it makes people desperate to close the gap, and the one who is chaste rules. Use their emotions against them. Do not fight emotion. Redirect it. If they're angry, let them rage and guide it towards someone else. If they're scared, give them a villain to blame. If they're heartbroken, offer them a new obsession. That leads back to you. You don't kill emotion, you weaponize it, because the one who owns the narrative owns the crowd. Be the snake in the garden. The serpent in Eden didn't force Eve. He simply planted a feeling. That's all you ever have to do. Want someone to believe you? Don't argue your truth. Make them feel it's theirs. Whisper doubt. Suggest possibility. Offer a taste of power, then walk away. Emotion will do the rest. Learn this rule. If you're feeling it, you're not leading it. If you're angry, you're being manipulated. If you're jealous, you're in the game too deep. If you're heartbroken, you're not the one with the power. Feelings are the visible strings. You must move like a ghost. You can act emotional, but inside, you are ice. Masterclass in power. Here's how the great ones do it. They smile when they're plotting. They cry when it opens doors. They compliment when they want you relaxed. They pause when they want your heart to race. Their emotional display is not real. It's strategic. Like a chess grandmaster sacrificing a piece, they will show vulnerability to pull you in and strike when you're open. Summary of Part 4. Use emotion, but never feel it. Emotion is a weapon, not a compass. The moment you feel it, you lose control. Control your tone, never your truth. Weaponize others' emotions and remain cold inside. The actor wins. The emotional man falls. Be ice. They'll burn trying to get warmth from you. Why the strong don't apologize. In a world where people use guilt like currency, the moment you say sorry, they believe they own a part of you. It sounds noble. It sounds human. But in the hands of manipulators, an apology is blood in the water. The moment you show remorse, they circle. Not because they want peace, but because they smell submission. Guilt is a weapon. You think you're making peace. They think you're admitting defeat. You think you're being the bigger person. They think you've just given them moral leverage. You apologize once, and now they hold it over your head. Remember when you said sorry? You admitted you were wrong. You always do this. Apologies become weapons when given to the wrong people. The psychology of a power apology. There is only one kind of apology that increases your power. The strategic one. You apologize when it's a trap. You apologize when it sets up a bigger move. You apologize not out of guilt, but to manipulate perception. Like Caesar bending before Rome, only to strike when they least expect it. The mask of humility. The powerful man knows how to appear humble, without being humble. He says, "You're right. That was my mistake." While inside he thinks, "Now you think I'm soft." Perfect. You give them the illusion of victory. You hand them a fake crown, and while they wear it, you take the throne they weren't watching. The art of weaponized regret. Most people apologize to ease their own discomfort. You, if you must apologize, do it to increase theirs. You say sorry to disarm suspicion. Create contrast, lower their guard. Set up the next move, but never because you feel wrong. Only because they need to think you are. Mirror their morality, then break it. If they value apologies, give them one, but on your terms. Let them see what they want. Let them feel powerful. And just when they believe you've bowed, stand taller than before. That's how you break their frame and replace it with your own. Never apologize for who you are. The weak apologize for existing. Sorry, I'm too much. Sorry, I speak my mind. Sorry, I care too deeply. Never say these words. You are not here to shrink for others. You are not here to make people feel taller by making yourself smaller. If who you are threatens them, let it. If you're truly sorry, stay silent. If there comes a time where you genuinely feel remorse, say nothing. Show it in action, in distance, in changed behavior. Real strength is silent transformation, not emotional confession. Because when people feel sorry, they explain. But when people become better, they don't have to. Summary of Part 5. Apologies are not always strength. They're often submission. Guilt is a social trap used to manipulate. The only apology that works is the one that benefits you. Don't say sorry to reduce tension. Say it to gain position. If you're truly remorseful, change in silence. Never beg. The world doesn't reward honesty. It rewards perception. It doesn't care how kind you are. It remembers how clever you were. If you've made it this far, then maybe, just maybe, you're not like the rest. You felt the shift inside. You've seen the rules behind the mask. Now the game is yours to play. But remember, the powerful never walk alone. There are others like you, quiet, watching, evolving, and this is where they gather. Subscribe, not for me, for the version of you that's finally in control. Because those who watch from the shadows often become the ones who rule from the throne.